G'day, it's Denodon here, and welcome to the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo Day 8, and the final day for the ship showcases. After this, we will just have the best of series. Now, today is, as you can probably tell by the classical music and the ships in front of us, is Origin Jumpworks' turn. Now, they are, of course, the luxury ship manufacturer in game, so it's only fair that they would show off some of what they've brought to the table, including what is dominating the room right in front of us, the brand new 890 Jump. So let's go take a look around and see what's here. So here we have the 85X. This is a two-engine snub fighter. Basically, well, not really a snub fighter, it's more of a touring ship actually, which comes with the 890 or you could get separately. Now, it's a snub ship, but it does actually have a quantum drive, so you can use it as quite a viable shuttle. Now, it is very fun to fly actually. It's a little bit bulky for what it actually is. It has two seats side by side though, which I think makes it the smallest two-seater. The Pisces, which is new, is very similar in size to this, but that also adds cargo capacity and a third seat. So it's a little bit interesting there as to why the 85X is so much larger than, the Pisces, when they both have comparative range. The 85X, of course, though, is a bit more agile, so there is that. The M50 here is Origin's racing ship, and was, I believe, the first racing ship in game after the 350R. Now, this one is going to get a rework at some point, yet it's still absolutely gorgeous looking, I have to say. It's one of my favourite looking ships in game, just the way you've got like those exposed engines on top. And then of course the fact it's got the two massive thrusters on the back that basically dominate its design, in much the same way as the Herald's engines dominate its design. The M50 however is very tricky to fly, at least for me. It's just so sensitive and responsive that unless you are very good with the controls, you're probably going to cause yourself to black out a lot flying it. Doesn't matter though, it looks absolutely cool, doesn't it? Moving on, we have the new Origin 300 series. Now, if you remember last year, we had this version of the 300i previewed in basically its shell only, but this year it is flyable, and not just it, but the entire family is now updated as well, so we can say goodbye to the old models. Now, this new model is massively improved on the previous one. I mean, you can see straight away it's got a cargo bay that folds down so you can actually put stuff in it without having to climb up a ladder. Now, you still do need to climb up a ladder, but in there now you've actually got a proper bed and a little galley kitchenette and a little weapons rack and thing, so it's actually much more nicely laid out. The armament still hasn't changed, it's still the same size 3 hard points that you can pick from, but as you see, overall aesthetically it's had quite the revision. And I fell off. But yeah, you get the idea. The 315P is still much the same as it always was. This is the exploration version. The interior is much the same, however it adds an additional cargo bay. There's like a tiny little bit, you can't really see it there, but at the back. So you've actually got a little bit more cargo capacity than any other of the 300 series. Now, we don't know if in theory it will still get the more efficient engine that the old model had. We believe so, but it's hard to really say. In game right now, they do have separate components, of course, coming as stock. Then you do have still the tractor beam under the nose. Doesn't do anything in game right now, but it will be interesting to see what they do with it further down the line. It does handle basically like the others, and I do love this new design. I can't say how much about that than I already have. Running over to the other side of the hall, we have the 325A. Now, this one is the combat fighting variant of the 300 series, and as you might have already noticed, it replaces the size 3 gun hardpoint in the regular versions and puts a size 4 there. So you can have quite the ridiculously big weapons on it, which makes it a lot more powerful than you would think for a ship of this size. Now, it still has a useful cargo bay and a useful interior, including a bed. So, unlike more dedicated fighters like the Hornet, which can outgun this one, you can actually sleep in this one and travel more places and actually carry some cargo at the same time. making it a very versatile fighter and possibly a good rival to the Avenger if you want something that's a little bit more Origin flavoured and less ex-police cruiser. The final 300 series available is the 350R. Now this is the racing variant, and in the original model it had two separate engines and, basically no real interior. This one does still keep the interior, it still keeps the cargo bay, so compared to the M50 this is a lot bigger, bulkier racing ship. However, it is still incredibly fast. Whatever engines they do have it using have quite the considerable output compared to the other ones. Even though visually they look very similar. I mean, you can see there, you've got a little bit of distinction. It looks like there's maybe two engines still, with the 4 nozzles instead of 2. But it's really quite hard to say, to be honest. But yes, it is blisteringly quick, but you can still use it for other things, unlike the M50. Turning around, we have the rather gorgeous looking 600i. Now this is basically Origin's answer to the Phoenix. However, it is a bit larger and a little more opulent. You have this double deck, completely strut free bridge on it, which is absolutely gorgeous, by the way. The lower one is the bed for the master suite. The upper part is the bridge itself. Then as we move further on, if this is the Touring or the Exploration model, I'm not entirely sure, you have that cargo bay underneath. In the Touring one, it's a lounge with extra rooms. Now, externally, both models look the same, so I'm not going to go through both of them, so you'll just see one of them here. But the Exploration model replaces some cabins with scanners and a bay that can fit an Ursa rover in it. Whereas in the Touring model, you've got just, I think it's 4 cabins and then like a little lounge area. I'm not sure why you really particularly need the lounge area, given if we move around to the back here, I mean, you're probably not going to see it from this angle, but the rear half of the ship is dominated by this massive glazed section with like a 2-3 story level bar, restaurant, sort of crew gathering lounge area, which is really quite nice. Now, this ship does have its problems in its use of space, particularly lower in the hull, so we hope it will get redesigned. I mean, they've said they're going to redesign it after experience with designing the 890 Jump, so we shall see. Of course, the showstopper for this year is the Origin 890 Jump, basically the largest luxury ship that Origin produce, and is, for all intents and purposes, a super yacht. I mean, you can just see the size of the landing gear. Now, this ship is the largest ship currently in game. It has something like 68 rooms, 3 or 4 decks. It has a full hangar in the nose section on the top that can fit a Terrapin and a smaller ship like the Pisces or whatever at the same time. It also has a cargo bay at the back that lowers down, that has a ramp on it that is also making it the only ship right now that can carry that ballista missile truck around. So, yeah, it's a massive ship. Now, as you can imagine, it's quite thirsty when flying it. It's also quite cumbersome in handling. It has a lot of mass and inertia. But this is the ship that has a spa in it, it has a lounge area, it has a swimming pool, it has, I think, at least 2 restaurants, a massive atrium area in the center, like 5 or 6 cabins. I believe there's like a master cabin and then at least 4 major ones inside it, and then you've got the crew quarters. I think there's like 6 or 7 crew quarters. I can't actually remember. Now, I do actually have one of these, so I can review these pretty much at any point, so stay tuned to when I do a proper video of one of these at some point. I'm also curious as to how Origin managed to get this ship in here, because you can see we're still going along it. We haven't got to the back of it yet, and it looks very tight against the wall there. So you would hope that maybe the roof just opens up and they can take us straight out. Because, you know, you've not got a lot of room to maneuver this thing either. Like, see, I can't go back any further. I'm literally at the opposite end of the hall to the nose, and they've wedged this thing in here. Also, by the way, this little elevator here, this is your boarding area. You come in here and it enters that way. Not that I imagine you'll be boarding the ship a lot from here. I imagine the vast majority of people will be boarding the 890 via the hangar. After all, it's the first flyable ship with a proper hangar, so you may as well take advantage of it. So that's it for today, and in fact the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. You will have the best in show continuing from today, however the individual ship showcases are now finished. So what did you think overall? Was it better this year than last year, or was it worse? Now last year we had a few more ships visible, like we had the Idris on Aegis Day. However, this year the focus has been on bringing only ships that could actually be flown, but I think it's not actually a bad idea, because that means everything you see here you can just rent and fly that day. There's nothing here that has just been static. Everything here is available to fly right now. And that's pretty cool if you ask me. And also the little shorts that I've been putting cards for with every day that they've been making, featuring Jax McCleary, the parody of Jeremy Clarkson, not James, sorry. They're really quite good as well, so I do hope we see more of them in future too. But yes, that is the end. I hope you enjoyed watching, and until next time, I'm Denodon, this is Star Citizen, safe landings.